I think I've figured out what the main problem with Loki is. And it's not that it's boring. I don't find it boring. Some people on this platform seem to disagree with me on that, and that's fine. But in my opinion, this is not a case of the cast and crew phoning it in. Clearly, they've put a lot of work into this show. That final scene of episode 3 is not something you'd get on a show that was half-assing it. So I don't think it's a case of the show being bad exactly. It's a case of the show just not being the type of show some people wanted it to be. I think they wanted it to be a fun sci-fi action romp, and instead it's more of a slow-paced sci-fi mystery character study, which is probably a fault of the advertising. In that aspect, I think there's a lot to appreciate here. Does that mean the show is perfect? No. There is at least one big issue, and I'll get to that at the end. First things first, though, episode 4 begins with a flashback to Sylvie as a child, back when she still had dark hair. She's just sitting there playing innocently when the TVA portal in and she gets captured by the judge, whose name the closed captions tell me is Ravonna. Sylvie gets put through the space DMV like Loki did. She's put on trial, but before she can be sentenced, she nicks the portal gizmo off Ravonna and escapes. Back in the present, Ravonna goes to see the Timekeepers in a meeting we don't see to explain why Sylvie and now Loki are still the fly in their ointment and haven't been caught yet. Afterward, Ravonna fills Mobius in on how the meeting didn't go well. Sylvie was right there, this close to the Timekeepers, as well as Loki, who she got Mobius permission to use, and now they're all in pretty deep shit. Mobius wants to talk to Hunter C-20, that's the commander from episode 2, because she was a captive of Sylvie for a while and she might know something useful, but Ravonna says that's not possible because she's dead now. She went into steep mental decline right after they brought her back to the TVA, but she wants Mobius to keep this between them, so she's obviously lying. Over on the doomed moon, Sylvie and Loki are just sitting by a lake waiting for the planet to crash into them. There's meteorites raining down. Up in the sky you can see asteroids and debris hurtling toward them, but the area where they're sitting is oddly peaceful. It's kind of beautiful, actually. They've both pretty much accepted that there's no way out now, so they're coming clean about stuff. Sylvie says the universe wants to break free, so it manifests chaos, meaning that the sacred timeline is against the natural order of things. Part of that chaos was her being born, and once that created a big enough detour from the sacred timeline, the TVA showed up and erased her whole reality. She spent her entire life running from them until she figured out where to hide, so she grew up in apocalypses, and now she's going to die in one. And she wonders if what makes a Loki is that they're destined to lose. But Loki doesn't think so, despite him having just lost spectacularly to the Avengers. He thinks they may lose, but they don't die. They survive. Like Sylvie did. She nearly took down the TVA all on her own and ran rings around them when she was just a kid, and that's amazing. And some people are going to view this exchange as the female character getting emotionally validated just because she's female, and yeah, there might be some of that, but I see it more as Loki just thinking the girl he likes is really cool. And we've all been there. And remember, Sylvie is another Loki. They're the same person. Loki complimenting her is basically him complimenting himself. So Loki's saying Sylvie's really awesome is the same thing as him saying, I'm Loki and I'm really awesome. And for someone as narcissistic as Loki, getting to do that should be like heaven to him. So they're getting a little closer here. They're holding hands, looking into each other's eyes as the final explosion approaches off in the distance. Meanwhile, over at the TVA, they detect some weird-looking spike the likes of which they've never seen before, and they put 2 and 2 together. So, 2 portals open up at the last second, and the Lokis are saved. So they're captured, separated, and Loki tells Mobius the TVA has been lying to him before Mobius throws Loki through another portal, and he gets spit out in Asgard, I think. And from out of nowhere, Sif walks in. Lady Sif, hot damn, I love Sif. She's pissed off because Loki cut her hair while she was sleeping as a prank or something, so she slaps him, tells him he deserves to be alone and he always will be, then kicks him in the nuts and walks out. Then they pull a Doctor Strange because Sif walks back in and the scene repeats itself because Loki is stuck in a time loop where he keeps getting told that he'll always be alone and gets kicked in the nuts over and over. And I'm of 2 minds on this. On the one hand, does it feel like they're punishing a male character just for being male? Kind of. But on the other hand, are nutshots funny? Kind of. And the whole scene is played for laughs anyway. It doesn't feel mean-spirited. All the nut shots in Birds of Prey, those were mean-spirited. This doesn't feel like the same thing at all. Plus, remember who we're talking about here. Loki probably had that coming. And I just really like seeing Lady Sif again. Up in Ravonna's office, Mobius says he wants to talk to Sylvie while Loki's being softened up. He thinks there's more to what's going on than they're seeing, and he wants to work on both of the Lokis, but Ravonna shuts him down real quick. Just wants him to figure out what that weird Nexus spike was, and don't ask too many questions. So it's very obvious at this point that Ravonna's up to something. I'm not sure if that was intentional on the writer's part or not. Maybe they only wanted to tease it a little bit and got carried away, but it's all pretty telegraphed, and we're really just waiting for the characters to catch up to us right now. Sylvie's under heavy guard. B-15 is one of them. She asks Mobius if Loki said anything to him, that the TVA is lying to me. Why? So, for reasons we'll find out in a minute, B-15 is becoming very suspicious of the stuff going on around this place. Back in the time loop, Loki's on the ground. He really can't take any more nut shots. And finally, he says that he just cut Sif's hair because he thought it would be funny, and he craves attention because he's a narcissist and scared to be alone, revealing something about himself that's pretty difficult to admit. Sif kind of takes pity on him a little bit. She helps him up, then tells him that he'll always be alone again, but without the nutshot this time. So Loki having a minor revelation about himself was what broke the loop. I like that. Then Mobius comes in and he wants answers. What did Loki mean that the TVA are lying to him? What's the relationship between Loki and Sylvie? What caused that weird Nexus spike? Loki's not talking, but Mobius is about to put him back in the time loop, so he makes up some stuff about how him and Sylvie were secretly working together and he was planning to dispose of her. But Mobius sees through this and says they already took care of Sylvie and she's gone now. Loki tries to play this off as if it means nothing to him, unconvincingly, and then it all clicks for Mobius. What caused that weird Nexus spike was Loki and Sylvie growing closer, and the possibility of Loki and Sylvie doing the thing that almost made the episode 3 review not suitable for ads when I talked about it, so I need to be careful here, made the sacred timeline go all herky-jerky. So basically, what they're saying is the very idea that Loki wants to an alternate version of himself is so completely bonkers that it could literally break reality if it happened. How can you not love that? I mean, it's weird and twisted and so messed up, but it's just... It's perfect! This is so something that Loki would do, and I really want them to go through with this now just so I can see what happens. So they both come clean about everything now. Sylvie's still alive, the TVA agents are all variants who were kidnapped and had their memories erased. Mobius seems to want to believe this, but Loki just told him about 50 lies, so he's not there yet. So he has Loki taken away, and Loki says Mobius is the worst liar in this place because of the lies he tells himself. That's a great line. Back in Ravonna's office, they're closing the Loki case, the Timekeepers are happy, everything's coming up Millhouse. And Ravonna tries to make small talk. If you could go anywhere in time and space, where would it be? But Mobius is starting to wonder about things, asking questions she doesn't want him to ask about Sylvie and C20, so Ravonna tries to get him to drop this by appealing to their friendship, saying that she wanted to protect him because the variant scares the hell out of her, and she doesn't want what happened to C20 to happen to him because they've been through all the same stuff together and friendships like theirs are uncommon. And he acts like this convinced him to drop everything, but when her back is turned, he switches her temp pad for another one. So B-15's about to interrogate Sylvie, and she's trying to psych herself up, but she's distressed about something. So she portals Sylvie back to future Walmart and asks what Sylvie did to her because when she was possessed, she saw stuff that she didn't understand. So Sylvie tells her, those were your memories the TVA took from you because you're really a variant. And B-15 wants Sylvie to show her again, so she does. And we don't see what B-15 sees, but she gets really emotional and just says, I looked happy. And just like that, B-15 is on Sylvie's side now. I feel like this scene is gonna go over a lot of people's heads. Some people are not gonna understand this, why B-15 would make such a big shift so suddenly. I don't know how many of you have ever struggled with depression, but I got the sense that that was the theme here. If this is something you haven't experienced, you probably won't get this, but try to imagine seeing yourself or anyone genuinely happy when you literally cannot remember ever feeling that way. That's a huge thing. And I mean, not to get too personal here, but I saw what they were going for, and it got me. It resonated with me. Now, I suspect it won't resonate with people who haven't experienced this in their own lives, so there's probably a limited portion of the audience who are really going to get this, but I appreciated it. So Mobius looks up C20's file on the stolen gizmo. There's a video of her debriefing where she reveals that she knows what Sylvie showed her were memories and they were real and she had a life and that she's a variant. And then Ravonna pops up in the video and she abruptly ends the whole thing. So Mobius re-enters the time loop and asks Loki if he really believes that he deserves to be alone and to figure it out quick because the Nexus event that him and Sylvie caused could bring this whole place down. Yeah, the unstoppable force of Loki wanting to f*** another Loki is so strong that it could topple the greatest power in all of time and space. You do you, Loki. So Mobius believes him now, though he's baffled that he's trusting the word of two Lokis. But Loki's like, how about trusting the word of a friend? Mobius is cool with that, and he says that Loki can be whoever and whatever he wants to be. Even someone good, in case anyone ever told him different. It's a nice moment. But since we can't have nice things, Ravonna's waiting for them when they come out of the time loop. She knows Mobius switched the gizmos so the jig is up, and he says that if he could go anywhere in time and space, he'd go to where he's really from, wherever he had a life before the TVA came along. So Ravonna orders the guards to prune Mobius, and he dies. Maybe. I'm not sure about that part. Then Ravonna goes to see Sylvie, and she knows instantly that someone was in there with her, so she puts out an alert for B-15. So enough screwing around. Finally, Ravonna takes Loki and Sylvie to meet the Timekeepers. And on the way up, Sylvie asks what her Nexus event was, since it was enough to take her away from her life and lead to all this, and Ravonna doesn't even remember. How nice. The Timekeeper's chamber looks really cool. I love the design of this thing. It's got tons of those staircases that go in all different directions and lead to nowhere. Always a fun visual. Loki isn't impressed though. He's like, just go ahead and kill us, you p***. And Sylvie thinks the Timekeepers are scared, so they're both pretty much done with this shit. So the Timekeepers order Loki and Sylvie to be deleted, but Ravonna can't do that, because suddenly B-15 walks in and disengages their collars. She throws Sylvie a sword, they all fight the guards, B-15 goes down, Ravonna goes down, the Timekeepers try to appeal to Sylvie, but she's not having it, so she throws the sword, decapitates one of them, and turns out they're just robots. So the all-knowing, all-powerful space lizards were not what they appeared to be. Not that surprising. I think most observant viewers probably knew there was some kind of twist coming with this. Now, you may not have guessed it would be a Wizard of Oz type of situation, but there was no way it was going to be played straight. No way. So now they're wondering that if the Timekeepers were bullshit, then who really created the TVA? What's really going on here? And Loki takes this opportunity to try to tell Sylvie about what was happening between them and what it meant. That their super creepy, forbidden love could break the fabric of reality like a ripe melon. He seems really sincere about it, and you know how rare that is for Loki. But then Ravonna stabs him with a staff thing from behind and seemingly kills him. So Sylvie takes the staff off her and says now Ravonna's gonna tell her everything. Of course, they're not gonna kill the guy the show is named after, at least not yet. So there's a post-credit stinger where Loki wakes up somewhere, wondering if he's dead, and someone tells him that he's not dead yet, but he will be unless he comes with them. And it's a bunch of other Loki variants. Old Man Loki, Child Loki, Alligator Loki, and most shockingly of all, Black Loki! And hey, hopefully this means that Mobius is still alive too, and just hanging out on some other plane of existence with a whole bunch of other Owen Wilsons, where they're crashing weddings and oil drilling on asteroids and stuff, and just having lots of fun like only Owen Wilson can. Okay, we're 4 episodes in now, and so far, I like the show, I like the characters, I like the story. There's still room for them to f*** it up, but I like the story. But the main problem with the show is that every time there's a big twist, something that should be really surprising, it's not. Oh my god, the variant Loki that's been killing the TVA agents is a woman! Well, yeah, you were hiding her face for some reason. Gender swapping is a big thing in pop culture right now, so what else would it be? Holy shit! The Timekeepers weren't even real and were just a smokescreen for something else? Well, yeah, clearly there was something screwy about that whole situation from the start, so it makes sense. But instead of feeling surprising, it feels predictable. Overall, I still like where it's going. The drama's effective, the character work is on point, even insightful at times. But the shock value is not there. I think the writers really overestimated their ability to swerve the audience. Now, you can still tell a good story without the swerves and surprises, but when you're banking on that stuff and it doesn't land like it needs to, you've kind of backed yourself into a corner. For me, the big surprise here wasn't the Timekeepers being robots, it was all the variant Lokis at the end. They could have a lot of fun with that. And hey, alligator Loki, because if Frog Thor can be a thing, why the hell not, right? So I enjoyed this episode as a straightforward piece. The ideas are still really interesting to me, and it gave more importance to episode 3 because what might have seemed to some people like a lot of filler in that episode was really them building up the Loki-Sylvie relationship, so what happened in this one would mean more. I appreciated that. But the episode ends on 2 big cliffhangers, one of which was surprising and got me hyped for the next episode, while the other was like, yeah, I kind of figured you were going to do something like this. So, not perfect. They could still shit the bed with this, but generally I still think there's a lot to like here, and I'm still enjoying the show. Now, that might put me in the minority around here, but screw it. I'm allowed to enjoy stuff sometimes. So, 4 episodes down, 2 more to go for Loki, I think. Don't mess this up, writers. I'm rooting for you. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments. Ding the bell icon and follow me on social media so you'll always know when I upload new stuff. I also have a live streaming channel now, the links are down there. Thumbs up the video, share, subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, and I'll be back with more soon. So stay tuned for that, do all the YouTube things, and I'll see you next time.